Hello and welcome to the Monroe Mythic Landcast. I am Jason Monroe. This is episode 195. Good morning, as it is good morning. I just had a little brainwave there and decided I want to talk about it. Yesterday was my birthday, the 28th of July. I turned 41. For some reason, I've not posted about this on social media yet. Maybe that can be today's post. But having worked with a ridiculous amount of people, I have seen a ridiculous amount of birthdays come and go. Now, I am someone who celebrates my birthday on the day of my birthday, and then that's it. The world moves on. I have worked with people who have birthday weekends, fairly normal. I had a birthday Sunday night because my birthday was midweek. Then you have people who have birthday weeks, and then you have people who have birthday months. I've even had someone who had a birthday year. And this is when people are just starting to rip the absolute piss out of it. So a birthday weekend. My birthday weekend was Sunday. I went to a hotel in Fife, stayed overnight, had a nice dinner. Went to St Andrews on the Monday, had a day there, then came home again. Then it was my actual birthday yesterday. Went out for dinner and bowling with the kids. And that was it. The world moves on. But then you have people who have birthday weekends where Friday, Saturday and Sunday night are all planned out and orientated around the birthday. I don't think that's a massive deal. But then you have people who have birthday weeks and then birthday months and then the birthday year. Why do people want to go all in on their birthdays? Why do they want to milk their birthdays? When, in my experience, it basically comes from people who are serial yo-yo dieters who live their entire lives in rules and restrictions. When you live like that, you will look for every and any available opportunity to break free from that. So your birthday comes along and it's not just your birthday, it's a free pass. And I think the people who feel the most restricted, again, remember, these are people putting restrictions on themselves. They're not being restricted. Nobody's doing anything to them. It's just this warped and disordered way that they've developed to manage their weight. God, I bet if I asked some of you listening to this, like to tell me some stuff that parents or friends or colleagues or things say to you. I used to work with a guy who didn't eat carbs during the day. And his idea of carbs was like he just didn't eat pasta, bread, rice, potatoes. That's what he meant. He didn't mean all the other carbs there are. So yeah, his thing was, I don't eat carbs during the day. So and it's funny because this same guy also went to the vending machine in the afternoon to get crisps and chocolate and stuff. But, back then, when I worked in that factory doing that job, I didn't even recognise the pattern. I just knew that you trundled down in the forklift to the vending machine in the afternoon. I never thought anything about it. But it's now that I can look back with a professional eye and say, oh, do you know what? That guy spent a few weeks going down to the canteen at work, getting a bowl of soup and picking the potato out of it and putting it on a side plate and eating the rest of the soup. And then he would spend weeks going down to the vending machine at 3 o'clock in the afternoon for a Twix and a packet of cheese and onion Walkers. And I can now see that for what it was. A guy who had disordered eating, whose weight was going up and down, who went through periods of, here's what my idea of dieting looks like, where I'm picking potato out my soup. And then here's what my rest of the time looks like. So these are self-imposed restrictions. And we just live in a world where we try to apply rules to ourselves to make a change. We understand that our eating's out of control. We understand, well, it's not out of our control, but we understand that our eating is getting too much, or our alcohol intake's too much, or we're snacking too much, or whatever it is we're eating too much of or doing too much of. And because number one, we don't know why we're doing it. We don't take the time to understand why. And because we don't take the time to understand why, we don't know how to stop. We don't know how to stop it. We don't know how to reduce it. We don't know how to change it. So now you're left in a bit of a conundrum because here you are doing something that you want to do otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. But it's also something that is detrimental to your health in some shape or form. In most cases, people are thinking about their weight, right? And so, because you can't get yourself to stop doing it, because you keep doing the thing, and because you think you don't want to do the thing, that's the conundrum. So what do? You start to create rules. I'm just going to do this. I won't eat any carbs before 7 p.m. I won't eat any snacks after 8 p.m. I won't eat anything until after midday. You just start making up all these rules. I won't have any chocolate midweek. It'll only be a weekend treat. And all it is there must be a proper term for it, but you're creating some form of restriction in an effort to change an outcome. So if I don't have chocolate in the house, then I can't eat chocolate. I'll only buy it at the weekend. And when you do buy it at the weekend, you eat a week's worth in the weekend. And then it was a waste of time. So when it comes to birthdays, what are we doing? What are people doing? They are and it's not just birthdays, it's anything. Birthdays are just relevant because mine was yesterday. But it's not just birthdays, it's anything. It doesn't matter if it's an engagement party, an anniversary, a birthday, Christmas, New Year, summer, annual leave, the weekend, because you've had a hard day, whatever it is, you will now start to create, I was going to say reasons, but let's call them what they are, excuses to eat in your unrestricted way. So you go through your year restricting yourself about 60 to 70% of the time, and it makes you miserable. It makes you so miserable that you count down the days until you have an excuse to not have to do that restriction thing anymore. And I think it's because people just, they get settled in a pattern of what they think works when it comes to controlling their weight. This is something that I have to work so bloody hard on with clients to show them, like, okay, once upon a time, you were 8 stone, 9 stone, 10 stone. And after 20 plus years of yo-yo dieting, you are now 13, 14, 15 stone. All that stuff that you've done, all the restriction, all the cutting things out, all the not buying things, like every single thing that you have done between these 2 points has not helped you lose weight. It has helped you gain weight. So all of this shit that you've put in place that you think is somehow helping, it's giving you a false sense of control over your eating. All it's done is helped you get bigger. You now weigh more. And we don't learn this because it happens over such a long period of time. So what do? We put more rules and more restrictions on ourselves. Well, maybe I'll try doing this and maybe I'll try doing that. When I first started doing this, I didn't have an office or anything. I had a laptop. I didn't have a laptop, actually. I had a tablet and a Bluetooth keyboard when I started this. But when I got a laptop and I couldn't sit at home at the dining table and do what I do anymore, I started touring coffee shops. And, I used to overhear all these conversations. Like the type of people that go to coffee shops Monday to Friday during the day are typically people who are retired, pensioners, etc. And there's always these kind of stereotypical group of predominantly women. Men don't really sit and talk about their weight the same way that women do. And there's always the kind of loud one saying, well, they're very upfront and assertive. And, well, I only eat salad during the weeks. I wouldn't eat something that heavy, looking at somebody sitting there with a fry up for their breakfast. I wouldn't, I have to have my porridge and fruit in the morning. I would only have something like that at the weekend and it wouldn't be that size. Do you know what I mean? So, the thing is, they're not exactly a picture of health. People get so, they get so enthusiastic about all the rules that they have. They think they're doing a good thing. And what is it helping you achieve? It's helping you achieve a disordered relationship with food, mental exhaustion, absolute fucking misery because you're going through life constantly overthinking every food choice. Should I? Shouldn't I? Oh, I've been offered this. Oh, now I'm in front of people. I better change the way that I eat. I had someone very close to me who was heavily overweight, a close family member, and nobody could understand why. Because any time we went out for something to eat, they always had a salad. And they didn't even eat it all. And, people, and I understand it now because I've run into it many times with clients. People get very good at performative eating. They find it easier to control their eating when they're in front of other people. I had someone recently come home from an all-inclusive holiday who said that their eating was, the word they used was perfect. And we kind of picked it apart a bit. And it's because they're very aware that they're overweight. They're hyper-conscious of people looking at them. And it acts as a bit of a accountability thing for them to put on this performance where they have great eating habits to somehow make it look like it's a mystery why they're overweight or it must be a medical condition. Look at them sitting there with a big plate of vegetables. They must not eat like that. But then they come home and go bananas because they feel like they missed out on holiday. So we apply all these rules and restrictions to ourselves, and birthdays offer the perfect opportunity to not care anymore. It's my birthday. I can do what I want. I can eat what I want. You should be able to do and eat what you want. The problem is the difference between someone who has a great balanced diet, that has a great relationship with food, what they want and how they want to eat is very different to the person who goes through 60-70% of their year dieting, restricting themselves, limiting themselves, holding themselves back. Their version of what they want when they want is going to be very different. And then when the birthday is not enough, we'll extend it through our birthday weekend and we'll make plans and we'll go out and it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday affair and it's food and drink. It starts with a bottomless brunch. Then the next day is a big dinner. Then it's a cocktail making class followed by another dinner, like all the usual shit that people do. And it's all calorie orientated. It's all like the way I describe it is abusing your body for pleasure, right? You are forcing your body to take on an enormous amount of calories that it does not need, that it does not ask for. But you don't care because you're not doing it for your body. You're doing it for you. You're doing it for your enjoyment, for something that you get. That's the way that I view it. That's the way that I viewed the way I used to take care of myself. I used to abuse my body for pleasure. I used to get excited about ordering a Chinese and I would sit and eat that entire thing because it was for me. It wasn't for my body. It wasn't for my weight. It wasn't for my health. It was me trying to inject some excitement into a hard day of work or whatever it was back then. And then we get the birthday weeks where they've taken the week off work and they've got plans with different friends every day, and then, or maybe they're going on holiday or whatever it is. And then we've got birthday months where people, I've gone through many birthday months. That's not an unusual thing. The birthday year one is. Birthday months are not unusual. I can sit and do a check-in with someone and their weight's going up and up and up. And they're like, it's fine, it's my birthday month. I've just got this next thing to get through and that thing to get through, and then I can get back on track. And they've gained 8 pounds because it was their birthday. Doesn't happen so much anymore, but probably because my coaching style and stuff has changed, and we would have talked about something like that well ahead of time. But that was something that used to come up a lot. Birthday years. I would probably count on one hand how many times this has happened, but this is when someone, usually they're turning 50 or they're turning 60, like it's a big milestone birthday. And they had all these things that they wanted to do and they didn't do. So we've got this 7-day cruise, and then I'm going to Milan because I've always wanted to go to Milan. And then I'm going down to England to stay with family in Cornwall for a week. Thinking of someone very specific here. And then we're doing this, and then we're doing that, and then my family are coming to visit from Australia. They're going to be staying for 2 weeks. And that's just madness to me. In the name of a birthday. I mean, it's entirely up to people what they want to do, but taking an entire year to celebrate a birthday, yeah, it's not for me to tell people how they celebrate. All I'm trying to do is explain why people do it. It is an excuse. And, if somebody's got 20, 30, 40, 50 years of yo-yo dieting behind them, you can understand why somebody wants to have a birthday year. They're probably the same person who's had birthday months and birthday weeks in the past. They've just extended it. And it's probably because they spend their life under that constant restriction, constantly focused on their weight, constantly overthinking their eating. They look for any available opportunity to get a break from it. That's all you're looking for, a break. A break from the restriction. Remember, self-imposed restriction. Nobody's placing the restriction on you. It is your own personal rule book that you've gradually built and applied to yourself over the years in an effort to control your eating. So yeah, happy birthday to me once again. I did do a 40th birthday one last year, but I think I read out my 40 things at 40 in the podcast episode. This one was a little different. Right, until next time.